Hello and welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the Anxious. I'm Rebecca and I am here to document my journey to bariatric surgery and beyond. I had the vertical sleeve gastrectomy on January 16th, 2021 at Blossom Bariatrics in Las Vegas. My stats are down below in the description if you are interested, along with my Instagram link and some other fun links that I will post if you want. So I am currently 1 week post-op, and during this video I am actually going to go into some pretty great detail about what it's like to have surgery at Blossom Bariatrics, specifically doing the Fasttrack program at Blossom Bariatrics. And I'm doing this for those people who haven't had the surgery yet, but are going to and are maybe, you know, want some more insight into that process. I know I was very nervous and felt kind of overwhelmed and like didn't really know what I was doing beforehand, and I think that maybe removing some of the mystery around the process might help. So this is going to be possibly a little bit of a long video, and I'm sorry for that. So the Fast Track program is basically going from you know, like consult to surgery within 5 days. I arrived on Thursday before my Saturday surgery, and I left on Monday. So it was a very, very fast, short window from when I got there to when I left. So Blossom has all of their patients stay at the Hyatt at Silverton, just south of the Strip in Vegas, and it's a really nice hotel. It seemed that most of the Blossom patients actually were all on the 3rd floor, and I often saw other patients walking around, up and walking the halls after their surgery. So it was kind of nice to see these people and talk to them and be like, hey, I'm also going to be going to Blossom, like, you know, how was surgery? And one thing I had repeated over and over and over again was the first 6 to 12 hours suck. After that, it's better. And I had so many patients tell me that. The doctors told me that, everything. So it was kind of nice to do that. And then I did get told by a driver later that they have some like 30 to 50 patients there staying there every night of the week, and they do like 150 or 200 plus surgeries a month. So basically I think that they have the entire 3rd floor basically blocked off for Blossom Bariatric patients, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I just kind of kept seeing familiar faces, which was kind of fun. The hotel, really nice, comfy beds. It kind of has like their basic room has 2 queen beds and then a little seating area. And it's actually a decently long room. It's a pretty big room. But you can, just so you're aware, upgrade to a suite, which has like a separate living area, a little like kitchenette, and then a bedroom and bathroom separate. If you want, it's about $50 a night to do that. We didn't do that because the suites only have 1 bed, and I was there with my mother. So yeah, so once we arrived that night, we just kind of had the night to ourselves, didn't have anything to do, just hung out. And then the next day, Friday, started my appointments. I should go back and say that I drove to Vegas, if you haven't already watched my previous videos. So I didn't get picked up at the airport. I just arrived at the hotel. Normally, you would get picked up at the airport by one of their drivers and driven to the hotel. So just a little, you know, caveat there. So anyways, the next day, Friday, is when I had all of my appointments, my pre-op appointments. They had called and told me ahead of time that my appointments were going to be at 8 in the morning. And so the driver called me at 8 and said that they were downstairs. And they do plenty of precautions for COVID. Everybody wore masks. You know, I had to use hand sanitizer before getting in and out of everything and going anywhere, basically. You get your own pens to keep. And they do have some other precautions, like due to COVID, your companion, or in my case, my mother, couldn't come with me to any of the pre-op appointments, which was a little weird just because I wanted her there for the surgeon appointment, but whatever. You know, I got through it just fine. Your companion is only allowed to be there post-op to pick you up. And the drivers are all so kind, so like they're so reassuring, super fun to talk to. Some of them have even had the surgery before, so that's kind of nice to hear. And I even actually found out that one of them was following me on Instagram ahead of time. And so when I walked out, he was like, "Are you Bex?" Because that's my Instagram name, is Becoming Bex. And I was like, yeah, because I knew that the name Bex wasn't on any of my Blossom stuff. The name Rebecca was. And he was like, "I follow you on Instagram. It's so great to meet you. I saw your post that you were in Vegas and I was so hoping I get to meet you." And I was like Insta famous. It was super weird. So anyways, that was just a really great experience to talk to these drivers on the way to and from the appointments. So first they take you to Blossom, or they took me to Blossom, and I met with an intake coordinator, and she just kind of like sat me down in a room, gave me a bag full of goodies that had like the pre-op drinks that you have to do, like the soap you have to wash yourself with, a couple different medications, and like a sheet of post-op instructions. And then she just kind of gave me an overview of what my day was going to look like and gave me my surgery time for the following morning. And then told me to make sure that I asked the nutritionist for kind of a last cheat meal. So that was kind of key that she told me that. And then they weighed me. And then I was taken back to a different room for my blood draw. And while they were there, they also took my my pre-op picture, which you can actually see in my Instagram if you go and check that out. So they check my hemoglobin, my A1C, you know, my iron, like, you know, basically make sure that you're okay for surgery. That you're not like super deficient in anything, your potassium levels, that kind of stuff. And then finally, while at Blossom, I met with one of their 2 nutritionists, and he just kind of gave me a really quick rundown on, you know, the no-chew diet that is immediately following surgery that I'm currently on, and what my diet should look like during soft foods, and then again, what my diet should look like for the first 6 to 9 months post-op. They actually say that you should lose the majority of your weight in the first 6 to 9 months. So be prepared for them to tell you that. Be prepared for them to be like, you need to be really strict and really focused during those first 6 to 9 months, because that's when people lose the majority of their weight. And then he said, because I'd done so well on pre-op, that I could have that final cheat meal, which I did. I was really surprised by that point about how, you know, efficient, how organized, how kind, how informative everybody was. They clearly do this a lot, and they have it down to like basically a science. It's, you know, boom, 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 really fast. They know exactly what they're doing. They have everything down. I was surprised at how nice the facilities were. Everything was clean. Everything was like beautifully decorated. And of course they ensured, you know, COVID social distancing was like followed, and, you know, everybody loved to sit around and joke and chat and make sure that you were super comfortable. So it was a really welcoming atmosphere. And honestly, even just after those first couple appointments, really assuaged a lot of my fear of this whole process. So next, the driver actually picked me up and like drove me around the corner, about 2 minutes away to Warm Springs Surgical Center. And there you kind of walk in and there's a little fountain, and then you can either go right or left. And I went to the left. And there I was taken back for my stress test, and echocardiogram. So the echo is easy. They basically lay you down and get an ultrasound of your heart to make sure that it's good for surgery and there's nothing like crazy going on there. And then they do the stress test, which is like the worst thing. They put you on a treadmill and they basically just increase the speed and the incline until you hit their like target heart rate goal, which is based on your height and weight and age. I was dying. And then as soon as they get you up to that heart rate goal, then they lay you down and immediately take another echo of your heart to check, because they want your heart pumping really, really fast. The stress test was honestly the worst part of that whole day. After 2 weeks of very little food and low calories and low carbohydrates, which is your main fuel source, And after, you know, dropping weight pretty quickly, like my muscles were like jelly. I barely made it like 3 minutes on the treadmill, and I did not get my heart rate up to the target thing. But my heart rate was high enough, she said, and so my heart was definitely pounding really hard. And she was able to get the, you know, the echo, and said that, and I was passed for surgery. I was clear for surgery. I do want to let you guys know that the stress test is actually done completely topless. You don't have anything on except for a robe that is open in the front, so that they can, you know, put the patches on you to monitor your heart, and they can also do the ultrasound. So it's a female technician. I don't know if it's always a female technician, but it was the day that I went. And, you know, that obviously made me feel comfortable, and she, you know, made sure that I was, like, to preserve my modesty. But just a heads up, that part is going, you are going to take your clothes off for that part, and that was weird. All right, so finally, after that's all done, you know, come out and sit and wait for the surgeon, and to meet with the surgeon. So there were 2 surgeons that were there the day before and the day of my surgery, and they basically, it sounds like they basically tag team the surgeries. So there was Dr. July and Dr. Matt, and Dr. July was the first one I met with, and she's so kind. It turns out that she had actually practiced in Eugene, where I am, and before, and we just kind of had some good time. She answered all my questions, which was really nice. And then kind of at the end, right as we were finishing up, Dr. Matt comes in and is like, hey, I need you to go like fix a, you know, close up her hernia. And he's like, I'll finish up with Rebecca. And Dr. Matt is all jokes and fun. You know, he was super, super kind. They all basically just made sure that I was well informed and I felt comfortable with them and the process. And they do tell you, and like, again, they reiterate for like the millionth time by this point, I'd heard, the first 6 to 12 hours are the worst. And then after that, you improve basically day by day. And they were 100% right. So all told, the pre-op appointments took about 4 hours, and I was done by noon. My mom and I had time to like drive the strip and go to Target and like relax before bed. So I know other people who have had this surgery like went out and like did things, went on activities. There's just, you know, Google activities in Vegas, and there are actually quite a few of them that are good for social distancing right now during COVID. And then obviously post-COVID, like just go do something, go have some fun. And especially ask that you can have that cheat meal, because then you can go have some fun and have dinner somewhere and have a good night right before you have surgery. Obviously you follow the pre-op instructions. You don't eat after 8 p.m. You drink their weird, gross drink before midnight. And then you have surgery the next day. So my surgery, they came to pick me up at 11:15 a.m. And took me back to Warm Springs. This time I went in the right-hand side. There they made me sign some paperwork. And then they did some metabolic testing, which is easy. They make you breathe into a thing. They plug your nose and make you breathe, and it's harmless and boring. And then they take you back, and they gave me some sweats to change into, along with like these TED socks, these compression socks, and then these like anti-little slip socks that were cute, which all of which are mine to keep. And I'm actually wearing the Blossom shirt right now. And I have slept many nights in the Blossom sweatpants. They're all super comfortable. You'll probably be excited to keep them because it's fun to do those, like, you know, all of your like, your pictures where you want to look back and see what you look like before, you know, post-op or immediately post-op, and what you look like, you know, 6 months, 9 months down the line. You'll have those sweats to change into and kind of do comparison photos. So that was kind of nice. And then they gave me an IV. They put it in my arm right up here. You can't really see, there's a little teeny spot. And they put these like compression thingies around my calves that are battery powered, and they kind of go, and they just tighten on your calves. They're really annoying. And And then I was moved into the main ward where all the patients were, to wait for my surgery. Unfortunately, my surgery was a little bit delayed. I didn't make it into surgery until about 3:30 p.m. So I was waiting for like 3-something hours. And while they waited, they did give me medication to keep me calm. Sort of worked. Didn't really work any better than my own anxiety medication. Anyways, I was awake the whole time. They told me that, oh yeah, I'll make you drowsy, you can sleep. And the whole time I was just like... So I did a couple different things. I did a bunch of guided meditation. I listened to this pump up playlist I made on Spotify that I'll probably link below. Watched funny videos on my phone. You know, I did get to see 3 patients come in and out of surgery while I was waiting. And I did figure out kind of that the surgery only takes about 45 minutes to an hour. And I got to watch like their recovery and what that looks like, which was, I think, good for me so that I knew what to expect immediately post-op. And then it was my turn. They made me go to the bathroom, and then they put me on the gurney, and then they wheeled me down this really short hall and into the surgical room. And it was like that. It was 30 seconds between like when I sat back on the bed and then I was in the surgical room. And by that point, like, I started to panic. I was on the edge of panic. But I kept telling myself that I need to approach this with as much bravery as I can. So I'm like taking these like really deep cleansing breaths, like, okay, you're gonna be okay. Don't look at any of the surgical instruments. I have my eyes closed. They just like got me in there, reclined me down. And so by that point I'm looking up. They made me like scoop my butt a couple times. They strapped my arm with IV down to something. And that's all I remember. After that, I was asleep. I did dream while I was under anesthesia. I know I did because I remembered having dreamt, but I didn't remember my dreams. And waking, it's like being woken up from the deepest possible sleep that you've ever had. And you're just like struggling and struggling to wake up. But all you want to do is go back to sleep. So it sucked. It's not like bad, like horrible. It's just like, it sucks to, you know, want to be asleep, but you have to wake up. So as soon as I was awake, that was kind of when the pain hit me. It was mostly in my diaphragm. It was all the gas and air that they pumped into my abdomen was just sitting in my diaphragm, like pushed up against it. And actually I didn't have any pain from any incisions or even my stomach or anything like that. It was just the air pushing on my diaphragm. I was really lucky I did not have a hiatal hernia to repair. So that was like the only pain I had. But it was pretty bad, like, not gonna lie. It was pretty bad. I remember I moaned a lot, which is kind of funny because I don't think anybody else moaned during their recovery, but I remember moaning, which is what I do when I'm in pain, I moan. So then they immediately, as soon as they like see that you're awake, they're like raising the bed, getting you up. They're like, okay, we need you to sit up, get up. So they have you sit up, they hand you a little bottle of water. They want you to immediately start sipping water, which I thought was interesting. And then they want you to stand and they want you to walk, and you're still like can barely keep your eyes open. You're super loopy. And I unfortunately was super nauseous, even though they gave me a scopolamine patch as well as Zofran in my IV. And standing was like, I was like a newborn calf. My legs were complete jello. I could barely keep myself upright, but they have you walk at first with a walker. And then, they have you go like down the hall, like down the ward to the end. They have you lean against the wall and they percuss your back to get some of the air bubbles out. Have you walk back, sit down, sip some more water. And then they have you walk 2 more times without the walker, and they percuss your back and they make sure that you're like sort of steady on your feet. I didn't feel steady, but I was steady. And unfortunately, every time I would sit down, I would puke. So I just puked water and spit, basically into a little bag. And so I don't think I reacted super well to the anesthesia, but it didn't last super long. I wasn't like puking constantly. I'd puke a couple times until my stomach was empty, and then I'd be fine. And then I'd get up and do my walk and come back and sip some water and then puke everything back up. So it was a little bit pointless, but I was just super groggy that whole time anyways. And then suddenly I was leaving. There was the car, I was getting in it. My mom was there. I remember her being there, but like, I don't remember the drive back to the hotel because I was super out of it, and I think I just fell back asleep. I also don't remember getting out of the car. I kind of remember getting out of the car, but I don't remember going up to the hotel room. But I do remember like immediately like falling into bed, basically, you know, not falling because I was in pain, but like climbing into bed and going to sleep. The nurse came, so that was about 5:30, I think, when I got discharged. The nurse came at 8 to give me an IV. I was still in a lot of pain at that point and still super groggy. I just remember like sitting on the edge of the bed kind of doing this while she was giving me the IV. And then I fell right back asleep again, and woke up around 10:30. So that was about 6 hours post-op. And when I woke up at 10:30, I felt 100 times better. I felt so much better. The pain, I had taken Percocet at some point during that as well. My mom, they give you Percocet for post-op, as well as Zofran. So I had taken Percocet and Zofran post-op. And so when I woke up at 10:30, like my pain was managed. And I was finally awake and coherent, and I got up and I was walking and talking to my mom, and like, and my mom was like, how are you up and walking and like coherent right now? What's happening? And I was just like, so that was interesting. Yeah. So that was surgery day. I slept the rest of the night, you know, on and off, getting up and walking around and going back to sleep. And then the following day, I had my final IV appointment at 11:45 in the morning at Blossom. They have this room that's full of these really plush chairs. The chairs had like, they could recline, and they had heated butt and back, and then they had little massages, and they give you, you know, your final IV fluids and final medications. And it took about an hour. And it was nice because I got to like see the people who had been in the surgery room with me the day before and like talk to them a little bit. And after that IV, you do feel better. Like again, like each time you get the IV, you feel better. And then each day you just feel better and better. Then they removed my IV. I got to go and buy some products at their little store that they had. And then I left and I went back to the hotel, and spent one more night there, and then left on Monday morning, checked out the next day. So one thing I do want to say to everybody is just that you do gain weight immediately following surgery. But it's all water weight. I went from 350 to 354 in 24 hours, just thanks to surgery. After surgery, basically what your body does is it stores all of its extra fluids in what are called third spaces. And then slowly over the course of the next few days, that just kind of goes away. So I gained 4 pounds in fluids and then lost it all, in the next couple days. So don't be discouraged by this. It's totally normal. And it's just what happens after surgery. So that was it. The whole process was extremely smooth. It was seamless. They knew what they were doing. They took care of everything. They made me feel so comfortable. And honestly, like, I've talked to the nurses a couple times now post-op, and like, we've teared up because it was such a great like experience, and I love them, and I want to go back like next year and be like, look at what I did. It's just, they're great. So if you're really nervous about the process at Blossom, just know that it's going to be okay. And they really take care of you. And one last thing I will say is that whoever your companion is, make sure that there's someone who can stay calm, basically. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't had my mom, who is a physician, with me. Honestly, I think if my husband had been with me, I would have been worrying about him post-operatively, because I would know that he would be nervous and scared and confused about what was going on. But because my mother, you know, has not only been through surgeries herself, but she is also a physician, she knew what to expect post-op, and was like, she stayed calm, which kept me calm. And I was able to just kind of let go and like let somebody else manage everything. And I just went to sleep, got up, walked, went back to sleep. Didn't have to worry about anything. She managed my pain meds. She knew what was going on. So whoever you've got with you, just make sure that they are as prepared as you, and that they, you know, they feel like they can manage you when you're basically just loopy as all hell. So that's it for today. Sorry it's a long video. My next video, I'm going to talk about how my first week of pre-op went. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click and like and subscribe below if you want to know if you want to keep following my journey. And thank you so much and take care.